All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first of our afternoon sessions this Wednesday. And you're lucky to have Demetrius Parker here for navigating uncertain times with confidence and collaboration. And I'd also just wanted to remind everyone that we will be sending out notifications for both sign up for the event or for this session and a link to a Survey Monkey for overall evaluation for it. So please complete those when you have time. And with that, I will turn it over. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello. Hello online. I can't see you, but welcome, welcome, welcome. So my name is Demetrius Parker, also known as D. I am the founder of Trust Leadership Collective. So just a little bit about me, 40 plus years of leadership experience. I am a military veteran, and so got a lot of that experience in that space, 20 plus years in HR, organizational development, and then 10 and a half years in local government. So I've been in a lot of the same spaces that you all are in. So I definitely understand how local government works and sometimes not work in the way that we would like it to. And so just a bit about me. What we're gonna be talking about today is leading at the helm and navigating uncertain times, right? And doing that with confidence and with some collaboration and what that's gonna look like. Sound good? Yes? Yes. All right. So just to let you know, the way I do my workshops is a lot of collaboration and participation. So if you don't want to collaborate and participate, it's going to be very boring. Just let you know. All right, so with that being said, every day that I wake up, this is what I tell myself. Growth is the goal. Every morning. Before I look at my phone, before I do anything, I say growth is the goal. Why? Why do you think I do that? Well, if you're not growing, you're standing still. Yep. What's that? Exactly. The opposite of that is bad. Yes, yes. And also, I realize that at my age, growth is not going to be in height. So I'm not going to get that. And so growth is about taking in one thing of knowledge. If I take in one new thing, then I've grown. And so what I'm really doing is building intentionality, right? I want to be intentional about how I show up in the day. And so in the very beginning of the morning, I'm grounding myself to say, you know what? My intentionality for the day, at a minimum, is taking in new information. Sound good? So what I want to do is I want to invite you all into that space with me. That if you can take in one new thing in this hour and a half that we're going to spend together, if you can take in one new thing, then you've grown. Yes? Yes. Sweet, sweet. And I like it. Thank you. Thank you for the participation. All right. So our objectives, right, is we want to walk away with some, a renewed mindset that embraces uncertainty, because it is something that's going to happen. We're going to talk about that. Hopefully you will gain some actionable tools to help lead with clarity and build some resilience around that. And then also with this session, hopefully deepen your appreciation for the power of collaboration. Most importantly, hopefully you will leave feeling confident, connected, and committed to taking the next step forward and doing that together. Sound good? I will ask you that a lot, right? I like to, does it sound good to you? Does it sound like something you can do? All right, with that, ships. What do you see when you see here? Lit ships. They float. Yes. What else? What else about ships? When you see ships, what is something you think about? Transportation. What's that? Passengers.
No, the impossible happening.
The impossible happening. Ooh, I like that. I like that. Well, I'm going to actually blend what you just said about the impossible happening and ships taking you places. Ships, when you also think about ships, think about partnerships. Think about leadership. Think about all sponsorships, right? All those ships are meant to do what? Take you places. So when you think about when you're in a leadership position, if you're not taking people places, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to abandon ship, right? They're going to abandon ship and they're going to go somewhere else where what? Where people are taking them. So I want you to keep that in mind, that you're, from a leadership perspective, that's part of your goal, is taking people places, right? Taking them to, having them see possibilities that they may not have thought about before. So keep that in mind. From just a basic leadership standpoint, that's what that looks like. Even in our partnerships, which I won't get into that because that's a whole different thing. But in our partnerships, it's that same thing. All right, VUCA. Who can tell me what VUCA is? Anyone know? What was that? You can cheat. Right? Exactly. Right? And so with that, anyone here never had VUCA in their life? Have not. Is there anyone here who has never had VUCA in their life? No volatility. Anyone here never had volatility in their lives? Wow, no one's raising their hand. Oh, I got one? One is like, no. Right? Maybe one. Most of everyone else is like, no, that is almost an everyday occurrence. This is something that happens quite often. Right? So volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Now, if I'm not mistaken, most of us work in a space where I think there's a lot of ambiguity. Now, I know that some people joined and started working for public sector spaces because they thought, oh, there's a lot of rules and a lot of black and white. And then you got surprised, didn't you? Because you got in and you were like, there's a lot of gray. It's a lot of gray area, right? So there's a lot of ambiguity. So this is something that it's a common acronym that a lot of us live on a daily. And so they came up with this acronym and they were like, how do we deal with this? What does it look like? And a lot of times we get caught up in this VUCA. And it becomes the thing that we are trying to navigate. So what I want to do, for those of you online and for those of you here in the room, I want you to take a moment, get a piece of paper, get a pen, pencil, and what I want you to do is I want to invite you to redefine what VUCA means, right? Because right now we're operating with VUCA from a space of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Just to give you an example, here's my VUCA. My VUCA is values, understanding, curiosity, authenticity. That's how I operate. So I don't let what someone tell me VUCA is for me and then operate from that standpoint. I'm like, all right, I hear you, and I'm going to redefine that, and here's what VUCA means for me. So for you, and those of you in the room, I did give you a piece of paper to kind of help you with that. But what I want you to do is I want you to redefine this acronym. So just take a couple minutes to do that. I'm going to take 2 more minutes. Welcome, welcome. All right, 30 more seconds. Anyone realize that when you're like sitting waiting for time like that, it seems even longer? Like that's the longest 30 seconds ever. All right, so there we are, time. So with that, who in the room found this exercise easy? Okay, so I got some creatives. Who found it extremely hard? Like why'd you make me do this exercise right after lunch? All right, so with that, remember I said in the beginning, I like participation? Remember that part? I see some people putting their head down like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. All right, so who would like to share their VUCA, what you came up with? Oh, wow, I love it. I saw your hand first.
So I came up with vitality, which means strength.
So vitality, okay.
Purpose.
Purpose,
Universal, being inclusive.
okay.
Creatively looking outside the box.
Creative looking outside the box. And what was the last one? Achievement. Love it. Round of applause, please. Can you do me a favor? Can you come here for a second? I mean, she was honest. She's like, I could. She's like, I could, but So, no. Remember, I also like to reward participation. So, thank you very much.
I'll come up here.
So in that case, I'll come back. All right, and I think I saw your hand.
Yeah. So her and I just spent on the same brainwave for the first two.
Okay.
I also did vitality universal.
Okay, vitality and universal. And then what did you get for C?
Compassion.
Compassion. And ability. Nice. All right, I think you already know the drill.
Was like, which drill?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's good seeing you.
All right, you too. And I saw a hand, like you all in the back, like you were all at the same table. Like your hands almost went up at the same time. So you're gonna have to draw straws about who gets this, because validation, uplifting, caring and compassion, and authenticity. Sweet. A round of applause. Actually, a round of applause for both of them. And come on down. You're the next contestant. Oh. I'll meet you because you had to come from
Thank you.
All right. So how did you feel looking at VUCA from your perspective now, looking at it from a different perspective versus volatility, uncertainty? How does that feel? Yeah, right? It's flipping the script. And again, this is something I want you to, I do a lot of reframes. And so if you ever have a conversation with me, and some of you have already experienced this with me today, if you ever have a conversation with me, there's a lot of times that I will invite you, and again, it's always an invitation, but I will invite you to redefine or reimagine how you look at things. Because I am a huge believer that a lot of times, especially as someone, so I grew up poor in DC. And when I grew up in DC, DC was the murder capital of the world, and my life expectancy as a black male was 18. Yeah, right? And I easily could have let that be my determining factor of how I was gonna live my life. And I flipped the script, right? I was like, no, right? I'm not gonna be a statistic. That's not how I'm gonna live my life. And that has been the way that I've operated since, I don't know how old. Like my parents even always talk about, like everything that I said I was gonna do, I've done, right? And because I look at it from a mindset that it's about here. How I think about things is going to determine the outcome of those things. Does that make sense? So I invite you to use that anytime you can. Redefine, don't let what someone else gives you be the determining factor of how you're going to operate in that space, right? And I guess, yes, we have laws and policies and all those things, and laws and policies do what? Change. Does that make sense? All right. So, confidence. From your perspective, what is confidence?
How you feel about yourself in any given situation.
Yeah, it's how you feel about yourself in a given situation. Here, you can do this now. No, right? It's about how do you feel in any given situation. What are you coming into that with? Is there anyone here that knows everything? Sandy, yes, right? Yes. There's times that we would like to think that we know everything, but if we're ever honest with ourselves, we know that we don't know everything. Which means when we're handed that new project, when we're handed that new grant, when we're handed that new thing, right? How much confidence do we have? And are we thinking about it to say, you know what? I don't know this, but I can what? I can learn it. I can learn it, right? So confidence is the belief in one's abilities to successfully execute specific tasks and make effective decisions in various situations. Can we do that? Yes. And as long as that you know that you can do that, then you can have the confidence that you can get it, that you can make it work, that you can get through it. But too many times, because it's new, because we're not sure, we over-doubt ourselves. And I said over-doubt because it's okay to have doubt. Doubt actually there can be healthy doubt. But we don't want that doubt to become debilitating. Does that make sense? Because when that doubt starts to be debilitating, then we do what? Nothing. Nothing gets done, right? So it involves self-assuredness, right? That is rooted in our experience, our skills. What have we done before? What does this look like? Have I done something new? Anyone here never done anything new? Exactly. We do new things all the time. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes not intentionally. Right? Sometimes we're like, oh, so I guess that's what I'm doing today. Because someone else has decided, here's a new thing for you, right? So keeping that in mind, confidence is not just about personal capabilities. And I think that's where we get stuck. Right? That's where we get stuck. It's also about exhibiting resilience in the face of challenges and the capacity to influence and guide others. How many of you have some really superb teams? Yes, thank you. I'm glad to see so many hands go up, right? You have teams, you have teammates. Even if your whole team's not superb, you probably have at least one other person on your team that is your go-to person. So guess what? They may have the experience to help you. It's not just about you. And too many times we get stuck in, well, they gave it to me, so I have to do it. No, they gave it to me to be responsible. I'm responsible for it. Doesn't mean that I what? That I actually have to do it all. I mean, sometimes we don't, yes, I know some people are like, you must not know my organization, right? Yes, sometimes it seems that way, but there's always folks that we can tap into. Always folks that we can tap into. Keep that in mind. So, when I talk about confidence, when I talk about things that are happening, uncertainty, when I talk about things that are happening today, there's a lot of things that we're like, oh my goodness, there is so much happening. And it seems like every day, if you're looking at the news, it's another thing. And at the same time, I will tell you, right, and most of you probably can attest, that you have gone through things before. You've gone through things that were new that you were like, this is tough. How am I going to get through it? And you are here today to say what? You got through it. You did it. Whether it was by yourself, whether it was with the team, you got through it. Global financial crisis, 2007, 2009. Did we get through it? Okay, I didn't say how long it took, but we got through it, right? Digital transformation. Again, for some people, like we're like, finally, like I just got through it last week, right? The COVID pandemic. Anyone ever see that coming? No. Exactly. Toilet paper. People, seriously? I understand you need a purpose and a goal, but fighting for toilet paper is not one of them. That should not be our purpose and goal for the day. I should not leave the house with my back going, I can't wait to get in that store. Right? Sustainability and climate change. That one we're still working on. Right? But we're working on it. And we're making progress. Right? So again, all these things are things that we have seen before. We've seen before in some aspect. But I mean, change is something that we've seen. Uncertainty is something that we've seen. It paints its picture to look a little different each time. But as a human being, most of us have the resolve, have the resilience to work through it. What I want to share with you today is that we don't have to work through it alone. We don't have to do it alone. Each one of us in this space right now has a superpower. Has a superpower. So, I'm going to go and I'm going to ask you, one by one, what's your superpower? And so, just to give you what that is, a superpower is that thing that you know you do really well. Right? That thing that you know you do really well. So for me, it's solutions. I love solutions. I love coming up with them by myself. I love collaborating for solutions. That is my jam. If you start talking about, let's sit down and think about how we can get through this, I'm like, let's do it. Right? So that's mine. So I went first. If you're online, I want you to think about what yours is, and I want you to write yours down, because I want you to own it. I want you to own what your superpower is. We good with that? All right, I'm gonna start here. How you doing? All right, what's your superpower?
Well, as soon as I wrote it down, this kind of became a joke in the world, but it's still true. Holding space.
Holding space. I love it. That is, not everyone can do that. I love it. What's yours?
I would say works well under pressure.
Works well under pressure. Love it. Showing up. Was that? Helping others. Follow through. Woo-hoo. Yes.
Data entry and reports.
Data entry. Oh, wow. I need you in my life. All right. Determination. Empathy. Nice one. Much needed these days.
I'm a systems thinker who puts things together that nobody else would put together in a way that nobody style.
All right, so just finding that out of the box system thinking. I love it. Empathy. No, no stranger. Yes, Sandy, I believe that. Caring and helping. Was it? Ah, yes. Collaborator? I'm gonna come up to this table here so I can go back. Energy. Woo. All right. Resourcefulness. Also resourcefulness. Was that showing up? All right. Options. Seeking to understand. Not a lot of people do that. Wow, look at you. How about overachieving? No. I'm joking. Okay. All right, so a visionary delegator.
But in the end, I know it's my responsibility to support those really smart people who can make the revolution road, so I can support it.
Okay.
So in Dungeons and Dragons, like a race,
So what they say was in Dungeons and Dragons is like she's going with, okay, here's my race, here's my all right. Problem solving.
I have created chaos with a dash of thinking outside of the pyramid.
All right, I love it. Not even the box, the pyramid. All right. Did we get everyone? Sweet. All right, so look at those superpowers. So hopefully you were paying attention to who had what superpowers to understand that if that's not your superpower, because someone's superpower could also be what? Your kryptonite, right? That's why when you said data and reports, I was like, yes. Right? We're my big picture people. Big picture, like you think big picture. Oh wow, a lot of you. We're my detail people. I'm sorry, detail people. I know we frustrate you a lot, right? Well, you know, there's no boundaries. I mean, we just heard outside the pyramid. We go way outside sometimes. But yeah, right? So thinking about that, thinking about what does that look like and how can we embrace that? Because we need all these superpowers, not just one of them. All these different superpowers help us to be better at what we're doing. Does that make sense? Yes.
I think one that we often overlook though as leaders is asking others for help. Like that can be a superpower because sometimes we just go, we'll just do it all ourselves.
Yeah. No, that's why when she said delegation, right? Delegation is, and honestly, I might want to get your number and contact information because there's a lot of folks, especially leaders, who don't know how to delegate. And that's why I said in the very beginning, we don't have to do this alone. And that's what we do. We're like, well, they gave it to me, it's my responsibility. Yes, responsibility. Responsibility doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it. It's just that you have to make sure it gets done. Does that make sense? And I know it's hard for some of us because we like control. And we're going to talk about that in a bit. Right? We like control. But let's work together. All right. So when you are navigating uncertainty, what are some of the tools that some of you have used when you are navigating uncertainty? Google. Was that Google? Okay, Google. All right. I mean, that's one way to know. What else? Peers. All right. What were you saying, Sandy? Oh, you were calling out names. All right. So those people right there at your table, I got you. You about to say something? Transparency, right? Sometimes just saying that you don't know is a good thing. What else? What's vulnerability? Self-care. Yeah. Yes. Sometimes we just have to step away. Put yourself into a whole new environment, and you'll be amazed at what comes at you. Where are my walkers? Who like to go on walks? Yeah. Right? Just going sometimes. Where are my runners? Anyone run? Who might think runners? Yeah. Right? So I used to call myself, I'm not a big runner anymore. After I got out of the military, I kind of stopped running so much. I was like, I ran too much. Yeah, like I'm not doing this for fun anymore. But I still love to go on walks. But I used to call myself, before the military, I used to think I was the Gump before before that movie ever came out. Because that's what I would do, right? If I would get upset, I would just take off running. People are like, ooh, I guess he's upset. Right? But it would help me clear my head. So sometimes just getting your body moving actually helps with that. Yes?
So what I like to do is to take stock of what we know we can control.
Yes, take stock of what you know you can control, right? What is in my purview that I know I can control this? I love it. How about some of these things? How about ethics? How about building collaborative spaces? How about embracing technology? Google. Enhanced communication tools, flexible work arrangements, growth mindset, innovative problem solving, right? Partnerships and networking, regular reviews and feedback loops, scenario planning, stress management programs. Guess what? All these things can actually help you with uncertainty in different ways. Does that make sense? What does that look? I see a look. Feedback loops. She's like, loops. What is just loops? It's Fruity Loops. It's Fruity Loops. Because I got to have a balanced nutritional breakfast. So, and I want it to taste good. So, civility, ethics, right? All these different things can help us in those times of uncertainty to look at, hey, how am I showing up? How many of you like feedback? Great, I'm glad to see so many hands up. Hopefully there's a lot of hands up online as well. Feedback, look at feedback, and it's something that I'm not going to go into it now, but something I talk about a lot. Look at feedback as a present. Look at feedback as a present, when you give it and when you receive it. I'm giving you a gift. If someone takes the time to give you feedback, look at it as a gift. It's something they care enough about you that they actually want to help you be better. Is that a bad thing? No. Now, I will say sometimes it's not the what, it's the how. Sometimes it is about how they give us the feedback. So we got to be careful about that. And one thing that I share with people all the time is that when you work with people, ask them in the very beginning when you meet them, how do you like feedback? Like, it's a very simple thing. How many of you have ever done that? Just went to someone and said, hey, how do you like feedback? Yeah, not many hands. Because we don't think about it, but we give feedback all the time. Or we don't give feedback, and the reason why we don't give feedback, because we don't know how to give it. We don't know how they're going to take it. So we can help ourselves out, right? Any Jerry Maguire fans? Remember that? Help me help you. Right? Help me help you. So if you ask someone, how do you like feedback? That's what you're doing. Because now I know how to give it to you. Now I'm not going to be stressed out when I have to give it to you. And that can help us when we're uncertain about things. Does that make sense? All right. So remember when I was talking about holding on to things? I got any Lord of the Ring fans? Right? So you all know Smeagol, right? Right? The precious. Exactly. But we get stuck in the scarcity mindset. We don't delegate because we're stuck in the scarcity mindset. that only I know how to do this. I call it the Smeagol. The precious, what's my precious? No, I'm the only one that knows how to do this thing. No one can do it better than me. Really? They may not do it better. They might just do it different. Is different bad? No. It's just different. And sometimes we might find out that, guess what? That could be someone else's superpower. How many of you are leaders in leadership roles? So your role, so you know that your role as a leader is to develop others. When you delegate, that's exactly what you're doing. When you delegate, you're developing others to be able to do something that is typically not maybe their thing. And do you know how excited people get when they get to do something new? Something that they're like, no, don't get me wrong. There's some folks in the beginning when you give it to them, they're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. But when we give them the opportunity to do it, when we understand the risk behind it, it is so much more powerful. So, and a lot of times we don't because we have a fear of risk. We have a fear of risk, right? So we start hoarding our resources. We start hoarding the things, the pressures, right? We have a very short-term focus. Very short-term focus, right? We're not thinking about what could this look like tomorrow. We're looking at, well, today, how many of you, when someone asks, hey, do you need help? And you've turned down help because you're like, well, in the time that it's gonna take me to train them, yeah, I know, you're all like, oh, right? In the time that it's gonna take me to train them, I could just do it. Yes, this one time. But if I train them, now how many other times do I not have to worry about doing that same thing? Does that make sense? I know some of you still like being resistant right now. You're like, no, but the precious. Yes.
Something that I've noticed that keeps coming up is when we're working together in like collaborative projects and we're navigating all this uncertainty, I've noticed that we end up going into these feedback loops and these conversations where the action is followed through. And we delegate and then let's say something doesn't get done, right? Somebody took on the responsibility of getting it done or just somebody addresses something, says that this needs to get done, but no one wants to champion it to make it happen.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thing that, you know, seeing the previous slide, I see those, I think that those are important things to do, but how do we motivate people, you know, to.
So, yeah, no, I love that you asked that question. So I'm just sharing this online for the folks online. So for the folks online, and what's your name? Kevin. So what Kevin was sharing that at times we do a lot of these things. We delegate, we have feedback loops, but then if things do not get done in the way that we needed them, or if someone brings something up that we don't go back to these things, right? And so then they're just there, and we know that they're there because they've been brought up, but then we do nothing. Here's where, and I think whose superpower was follow through? That's why. Because what's missing is follow through. And I see this a lot. So how many of you do surveys? All right, good amount of hands, we see surveys. How many of you actually act on the surveys? Right, I only see, so I do not see the same number of hands that went up, right? No, it's the same thing. So we do these surveys and we say we want to understand what people, where they are, what they're thinking, what they need, and then we do nothing. When I work with organizations, one of the first things I say, look, stop doing your surveys. If you're not going to follow through, if you're not going to follow up, then don't do a survey. Unless up front you say, this survey is for information only. Unless you put that disclaimer up front to say, this survey is for information only, because otherwise, that's when you start seeing your survey numbers go down. Because people are like, I'm tired of your surveys, nothing happens, I'm not doing them anymore. We don't follow through because we don't like conflict. Yes?
Is it, well, I think my superhero, my super skill also may be I'm not afraid of conflict, which is very different from most people in the human services
Yes.
And how is what you're asking us to do now going to help us get this done? Or are we going to say, this is nothing we're not going to get done, just ask for clarity, I think asking for clarity.
Yes. So that's follow through. Follow through is, hey, I noticed that on the board we had X. We've had X on the board for 3 years now. What's happening with X? But a lot of times we don't do it. And again, it goes back to we don't like conflict. If I bring that up, someone's going to be upset. But guess what? If I don't bring it up, someone's going to be upset. So am I solving anything by not doing it?
One more strategy I'm thinking about, which is one that I've learned with wisdom, and that is to realize it's a problem before the meeting, and to find your partners who will be on your side and will help you strategize how to bring it up so you're not the lone voice.
Well, exactly. So going back to, I love that. So what you said was that before you go into the meeting, if you already know that there's something that is challenging that needs to be addressed, already find some other folks that can help champion it before you get to the meeting, which is what we've been talking about, collaboration, right? Collaborating. Hey, I know that we had this. How many other people feel the same way about this? Am I the only one? Because sometimes you may be. You might be the only one like, oh yeah, I know, we just keep that up there. Because in government, we love to say what? That's the way we've always done it. Yeah. Stop doing that, please. Right? It's what we do. It's the way we've always done it versus challenging that thing and saying, hey, why do we keep doing this? Does that make sense? Right? So we have this zero-sum thinking, the belief that one party gain is intentionally another party's loss. We have to get away from that. All right, collaboration data facts. Where are my facts people? I know where are my data people. Yeah, so I had to, this is just for you. Right? 80% of leading global enterprises collaborate with competitors as a strategic choice to drive innovation, efficiency, and competitiveness. 80%. So all these big companies that seem like they're against each other, at some point they collaborate. That's how they get what? That's why you see from a market standpoint, they're all around the same pricing, they all have some of the same similar things, because they say, hey, look, so I was in the cable bit space for a while, right? No judgment, don't judge me, right? I worked for Xfinity for a bit, right? And I know for a fact that we used to talk to some of the other folks out there, so the Verizons and all those folks, and we would chat with them like, so we're gonna be offering this, what are you guys looking at? And then, we would go back and forth with, all right, we're gonna start with this competitive thing, and then they would come back with the next competitive thing. It's a thing, right? Why are we not doing that? Why are we not talking to other entities to find out, hey, I noticed that you did this thing, how did you do that? What resources did you have? What does that look like? Why do we treat everything like it's a KFC secret?
So this is actually something that we're trying to do where we're at right now. So our director is getting ready to send us to other shelters around the state to see how they're doing things, how they incorporated those things, what policies needed to be held for those, so that way we can maybe bring in certain, so like pets is one thing, right?
Yeah.
At our shelter, we don't allow pets for liability, allergies, other clients, things like that. But if there is a shelter in Wyoming that is allowing pets, and we see that, then we want to know how they did it. You know what I mean? Like, what are some of things that you did
Yeah.
to allow this to happen? Because we understand the emotional therapeutic end of what pets can bring to a shelter. And we would like to introduce that over here, but we need a model.
Yeah, exactly, right? Who's already done something? Just ask, who's done this already? How did you do it? What things did you have to do to put it in place? And again, asking ourselves, can we do that same thing? And why not? And there may be some really good reasons, right? We may have some good reasons of why we can't do something the same way, but do we actually even try to reach out to figure that out? We don't always have to all be the first one to do it. A lot of times we're not going to be. I mean, just being honest. If you think about music, how many songs do you hear that come out and they all have a similar theme and they all come out around the same time? Right? Think about it. If you listen to the radio, you hear a song and you're like, all right, that song's about this, that song's about this, and that song's about this. They use some of the same verbiage, some of the same things, because ideas, when they're happening, I believe that they're out there in that universe and different people are taking in the signal. And then we decide to run with it in the way that we do it. So all those things are happening. People are thinking just like us, having some of the same challenges that we have. And so they're working on some of the same solutions. We don't have to be the ones that always come up with that solution first. Does that make sense? Yes. Yeah. I know. Well, it's funny you say that, because even for me, just, I'll share this. I look at other countries and what they're doing for trends, because typically those other countries are ahead of us, right? And I learned this from probably living in other countries, having that privilege to live in other countries. And I remember in I'm about to share my age. The fact that yes, Sandy, thank you. That's right, thanks. There's someone in the room older than me. But no, I remember in 1985 being in Germany, and they already had red light cameras and had perfected what that whole thing looked like. That was in 1985. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like, man, we didn't get it till a lot later in the States. And I remember before that, right, I was always taught that America, we were ahead of everything. And I'm like, as we talk about propaganda, right? But I'm not going to get into that, different subject. Anyway, with that, there's a lot of things, to your point, that we can look at to see trends, to see, hey, this is happening here. Why can't we do it here? Or better yet, how can we do it here? Yes.
I think too, it's really important to remember when you do this to also know your client base. Because like I have done 2 huge events for my veterans that everybody knows about these events. They're great. Everybody attends. My county, my veterans, they don't need it, they don't want it, they don't show up. So it's like, okay, we have to pivot it. It's great that it's working for that county or that state, but it doesn't work for us.
Exactly. Well, that's what I said about the understanding your dynamics, right? Why don't we do that? Oh, that is great. Here's why we don't. Because again, if we're collaborating, hopefully when we collaborate, we are bringing in what? The people that we're doing the services for. And if you're not doing that, please start. I don't understand when we have this, and again, I asked, was there anyone here that knew everything? Do we have all the smartest people in the world here right now? No. We're all smart, but we may not be the smartest people, right? And so when we're working with our clients and we're talking about collaborating, are we bringing the people who are actually going to use the services, are we chatting with them? Because as a veteran, I can tell you now, I've been in some of those things and I'm like, why did we do that? Like, what was that about? Right? So, keeping that in mind. All right, collaboration benefits, innovation and learning. When we collaborate, we innovate a lot faster when we do this. Also, reputation and legitimacy. If I'm working with another organization that has a really good reputation of doing this thing, and now I'm working with them, what does that do for my reputation? Brings it up, right? It's like, oh, you working with who? And we know, we love, what? Name dropping, right? And but we also love it when people are working with folks that we know.
Well, and if you take it back to music, you'll even have, musicians who work together, they'll work with a brand new musician and get them, in everybody's ears and in their stereos, so where they're like, oh my gosh, I really like, who is this?
Exactly, right? Collaborations, you see it in music, right? So the record labels, they learned that a long time ago. Hey, you're a new artist, I want people to really listen to you, I'm gonna bring this person in, you're gonna collaborate with this person. Like some artists, their first album is all collaboration. They got one song that's them, and every other song, it's them and. Exactly, right? So great way to look at that. So just thinking about that, your reputation, your legitimacy is going to go up. The other thing, trust and coordination. So by working with rivals, or you consider rivals, firms expose themselves to potential opportunities and some free ride and spillover. So that's some of the things that we look at of why we don't do it, right? Because they're rivals. Oh, they're going to steal my idea. So I do this work all the time. I go out and I actually coach other speakers, right? New speakers that are coming in. And people will ask me all the time, why do you do that? You know you're making competition for yourself. I'm like, do you know how many people there are in the world? Do you know how many companies and how many conferences there are that's happening? Do you think that, am I really that silly to think that I'm gonna get them all? No, I'm not. So I don't mind if you come to me and you're telling me that you wanna do things that are gonna help people be their best selves. My goal is just to help people be their best selves. It's just to help organizations be their best selves. You're not my rival. You're not. You're actually what? You're my accomplice. We're working in this together. We're all trying to do the same thing. That's why you're all here. You're all trying to do the same thing. So why not work together? Does that make sense? Adaptation and differentiation, right? Well, they're different than me. Yes. You might want to look at that because that difference might be the key thing that helps you. That makes sense? It's okay. And I like it when I talk about speakers again. As you can see, the kind of speaker I am, you've had how many speakers a day? We're all different. We all have a message, but we all deliver that message differently. And for some of you are here right now and you're taking in the message the way I'm giving it. Some of you are like irritated. Some of you are like, is this dude do not slow down? And like, right? And I get it. That's the way it is though, right? It's okay to be different. It's okay to have those folks that are gonna do things a little differently than you are. That's how we all have our superpowers. All right, I'm gonna apologize for this slide because there's a lot. Right? That, when you're thinking about strategies, and I'm gonna give you a sheet that's gonna have some of these things on it. But when you think about strategies, oh, by the way, I will also, feel free to take pictures, but I will also make sure you get a copy of this slide deck. I know. Remember, I'm big picture. What's wrong with you? I didn't think about that detail in the beginning. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Put that in my survey. No. Exactly. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I should tell you this, right? I also have ADD, so I'm all over the place. But seriously, establish common goals and roles. So when you're collaborating, talk about those things up front. And this is one of those things that was brought up by Amanda when she was talking about, some people see this as conflict. Like some people won't have this conversation because they're like, oh, they're gonna get offended. But guess what? You're gonna be more offended later when I'm upset with you and I don't partner with you again because we didn't have this conversation. Have the conversation. Create structured communication protocols. How are we gonna check in from time to time so that we know that we're doing those things that we said we're gonna be responsible for? Does that make sense? Like, how am I gonna know that's happening? Leverage diverse strengths. Again, asking about what's your superpower? What's the thing that you are really good at? Great, because I'm not really good at that. So you'll be responsible for that thing. I'm not going to be responsible for that. Does that make sense? Use collaborative technology. whatever that is, right? All the different tools that are out there. There's so many different tools that you can use so that you can check in, right? How many of you use Google? Like Google Suite, like the Google Suite, right? Google Suite or Microsoft, right? So you can ask up front, hey, do you use Google Suite? Do you use Microsoft Suite? Because depending on that, that's gonna depend on how you can share documents, right? So what is that gonna look like? Establish trust and transparency up front. Hey, we're going to talk about the thing. We're gonna be transparent about what's happening and what's not happening. Probably more importantly, what's not happening. We have to talk about those things. So I don't wanna know when it's deadline time that you tell me, oh, by the way. How many of you love, oh, by the way, conversations? Not great, right? Oh, by the way, I don't have X. Don't do that, right? So build what those things look like. Anybody ever heard of an accountability agreement? Yes? How many show of hands? Anyone ever heard accountability agreement? Yes, great. Have those. Put in place an accountability agreement. This is how we're gonna operate. We're gonna check in X amount of times, and this is what we're gonna share. So that way you don't get the, oh, by the way conversations. You don't get surprised. It's like, oh, okay, I got it. All right. How many of you belong to a local chamber? Now, here's my other question. Why don't some of you belong to a local chamber? It's cost. All right, so here's what I know about some chambers. Some chambers, if you can get in as an organization, it actually covers all your members. So it's not like you have to pay for a single one. A lot of them would do, like, they would do a group deal where it's like, your organization now belongs to the chamber, so any one of your members can come to a meeting, can get the resources. And I asked that question because, and this is me being candid, when I decided to sit in my proposal for this conference, I had never heard this organization before in my life. And I was in local government for 10 and a half years in Colorado. I had never heard of this organization in 10 and a half years, right? Only reason why I learned about this organization because in the work that I do now, I did some research to see what conferences were out there that I would want to be a part of. When I found this one, I was like, oh my goodness, I would love to be a part of that conference. These are my people. This is what I do. This is what I'm passionate about. And so then right after that, when I got the approval, when they said, yes, we want you to speak here, I then went to several of the chambers that I partner with, and I was like, hey, just let you all know I'm gonna be speaking with so-and-so and so, and they were like, who is that? So how many of you know what chambers do? Right? They're connected with a lot of the public, right? So even when I do emergency management, I would tell emergency management people, like, you might want to connect with the chambers because they're connected to the businesses, right? And as I understand the way you all do your work here in Colorado, right, you're getting money, and part of that, I think in the grant that they did, is they want you to do linkages. Am I correct? Who can better help you link than chambers? And a lot of times they can connect you with companies that then can, guess what? They can actually maybe take on some of that burden that you are taking on because they're already doing that work. Does that make sense? So I bring that up because I think it's something that when I was doing my research, I'm like, wow, I feel like this is a space that could be a disconnect. So here's what I want you to do. At your tables, first of all, and if you're at home sitting down in front of your computer, I want you to do the same thing. I want you to stand up. And stretch. Stretch it out. Do not punch your neighbor. So be careful of your space. Some of you are very, very limber. Who are my yoga people? Who are my yoga people? I should have known. Yeah, no, it's just a stretch. I wasn't, yeah. It's just, I was like, that's a yoga stretch. That's someone who does yoga. All right, you feel nice and stretched? All right. When you feel comfortable, you can sit down. All right, so now at your table, I want you to, hopefully, except for you might want to go to a table that has someone else, because it's going to be hard on you to do this next exercise. All right, there you go. All right, thank you. All right, so I want you to take a couple minutes and talk about, at your tables, talk about some of the things that you have done to collaborate, and honestly, some of the things that have stopped you from collaborating. So at your table, just talk about those things for just a couple minutes. What have you done really well to collaborate, and what's some obstacles that have kept you from collaborating? For those of you online, we're going to take about 3 to 4 minutes to do this exercise. Actually, we're going to take 5 minutes to do this exercise. All right, one more minute. One more minute. All right, let's start to wrap these conversations up. If you're online, let's bring it back. All right, let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. All right, how were those conversations? Sounded good? Yeah? All right, so who would like to share? Who would like to share something that from a collaboration that you're doing really well for collaboration? Who would like to share something that you're doing really well for collaboration? Yes.
Well, one thing I was thinking about with these guys was that we recently built a travel mental health exhibit. We went to our partners at the academic level, the clinical level, and we said, hey, you know, we keep hearing how bad mental health is for everybody. How can we support you in that as our partners? And they were like, well, we have no time to do public health education. So we said, okay, what if we, so we went, we did a prototype, we brainstormed, and we went back to our partners and said, what if we brought all you in to build a travel mental health exhibit that we could take around our region, which is now turned into a statewide project. It's traveling all over the place. So it worked really well. We had academics, clinicals, nonprofit organizations, people with lived experience from homeless to veterans. They actually helped us build this.
Oh, wow.
So it was really cool.
All right, so, and just sharing online, they're talking about a traveling mental health exhibit and how they partner with their partners and were able to put that together. So, thank you for sharing that. Round of applause. Thank you. All right, what about challenge? What's something that's challenging you from collaborating? It's like a lot of hands. All right, what do we have?
The lack of entities nearby,
Okay, the lack of entities.
kind of a desert area of help.
Okay. Do events like this, does it help you?
Yes, because we can talk with other people, but yeah, when we're just in our areas, because she's in Summit, I'm in Clear Creek County,
Okay.
and those are both like mountainous, and there's not much there.
Yeah. Right. So again, so I love it. Right. So making sure that you're coming to conferences. So these types of things help with that. So thank you for sharing that. Another one.
I think I'm just dealing with a lot of ignorant from Jefferson County and our making laws that everyone gets to see their child unless there's a court order that says it. And so, again, my take back or my inability is the legal system, because I have to be ABC. I can't jump through it regardless of the even there still is a very rigid format you have to go through, and that can be very debilitating, can be very frustrating, very time consuming, very expensive.
Yeah. So thinking about the laws. Yeah. Well, no, I get it. Right. But I would say also trying to figure out, are there any other organizations that have figured out a way to navigate that and still get it done? Yes.
As a person retired from that system, I would say that those institutional systems are really bad
Yeah. And so again, I think as I think about a lot of these spaces, what I have been able to help some folks do is exactly what you said, is think out of the box, especially in local government, and say, okay, we can't do this because of the laws, but what organization is doing this that could get us the result that we're trying to look for that we can collaborate with, right? And so what does that look like? And again, because I think a lot of times in local government, we hear that there's a problem and we want to help, and then we take that on as the thing that we have to do versus saying, hey, we want that. Who's already doing this work? And what does that look like, right? So I think it's a whole combination of a lot of those things, and I understand the hurdles that are out there from the legality side of things. But at the same time, what else can we do? Yes.
I would just say the other thing, and that we're doing mimic when you're dealing with those families and those kids right in front of you, you want the results for those families and those kids that are right in front of you. It doesn't happen that way, and that's frustrating, and you just want to scream. And you just have to keep saying, all right, can I convince this judge to do this piece? Because if I can convince this judge to do this piece and it works, that judge may convince that person, and it won't help these kids right in front of you, and you'll be mad about that, but maybe it'll help the next one.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. So how many of you have done what I call prototypes, right? So think about prototypes, because a lot of times, to your point, a lot of times I can get an authority to agree upon a prototype, right? We're just gonna do this one small group, and this is what we're gonna do, and here's the outcomes that we're looking for. And sometimes if we can do that and it's successful, right? Sometimes then that's how we get things rolling. That's how we can innovate by that type of collaboration. Does that make sense? So just kind of thinking that way. Like it does, again, I think a lot of times when we think about innovation, when we think about trying to have impact, we're looking for these really big things. And that's where we get stuck, because we're looking at, ooh, how can I do this? Versus, and I use the analogy of running, right? If I haven't run in a long time, if I've never run before, can I go out and do a 10K? No. But I could do it, right? But if I do small goals, and even when you're training for a marathon, they don't tell you to go out and run a marathon every day. Matter of fact, they actually persuade you not to do that. They're like, no, you run in small increments and you build up to that space, right? So that same mentality, how can we build small and then build up to that bigger capacity that we're trying to get to? Does that make sense? All right, so now we're at question and reflection time. So what questions do you have for me? Did anyone come in with any kind of thoughts or questions, or did you like, no, I just want to hear what this God has to say? I'm okay with that. Yes.
So as we were talking, and you and I were talking earlier, we were thinking about, because we're all the same organization. We're looking at a collaboration model, that's what we're doing. But as we are trying to figure out that collaboration model, do you think that one way to do it is to try to get all of the parties as much as you can involved in learning how to collaborate, to train everybody?
Yes.
And give everybody kind of the tools so that at least we have some starting language.
Yep. So I would say anytime I'm trying to collaborate, first of all, it's just like if you saw each time that we're going to talk about a specific topic, I asked a question of what your thoughts were about it first, and then I gave you the definition that we're going to use together, right? So it's that same thing. If I'm going to work with you, then we have to be speaking the same language. So bringing everyone in who wants to come in the beginning and say, how can we speak the same language, right? Go through the same training, understand the same format, and then build from there. So yes, that's what I would say. All right, what other question? You all like, okay, yes.
Well, it's more of a reflection as I think about, your SPIEGEL acronym was so great. And I really love the Lord of the Rings She wants to control everything.
Yes.
And she wants to control the flow of information. So I can share with her and collaborate one way, but she's not going to collaborate the other. So just that reflection of that was a great takeaway for me of like, okay, how can I use the stories that other people know to help them to understand the concepts? So that actually helped me.
All right, no, thank you. And actually, there's actually a great segue into the reflection side of this, because I am a person that I believe that, counter to the question that I got earlier about follow through, right? So it is very easy for us to come to a workshop, to sit into a space, a session, hear some information, and then do nothing with it. So what I would like to do, all right, and I'm going to use you as my starting person because you started it. I'm going to go to each one of you. If you can share, because in the beginning we said what? One thing. If you can share one thing that you're taking away from this session that you feel that you can use, or it was an awareness, whatever that looked like, but one thing that resonated with you with our time together, I would appreciate that. And so you get to decide which direction we're going to go in, though, because you were the first one that did. All right. They're like, thank you very much. You know what? That's fair. So I believe sometimes, right, some of us are processors, and some of us, like, when we ask that question, they're like, oh, don't ask me that. I haven't processed it yet. So I'm good with that.
Probably the one thing that I'll take away, especially in the work that we do and the times that it is really focusing on building resiliency in our agency, and talking through, you know, what we've done in the past and what we'll be facing in the future, and that we have the ability to resilience.
All right, and just really quickly. So for those of you online, at this point, what I'm doing is having everyone reflect. So of course, I can't unfortunately do that with you. I would try to share the reflections, but at the same time, if you want to take a break for the next 10 minutes or so, that's where you are, because we're in a reflection moment. So the reflection that I just got just now is actually building resilience. All right.
I like the VUCA that I came up with, so I think using that day to day and like the decisions that I have to make or just how I approach my work.
Okay, so that person has shared the VUCA that they created.
A lot about scarcity mindset has come up in my life in different ways, and I've never bought into it, but I like the accomplice, not competitor. That I'm using like the statistic about like competitors are really collaborating. Don't be fooled, like they're doing it, why can't we do it?
Exactly. All right, so competitiveness. And
So I'm a person who loves quotes. I love quotes. I write them on our boards every Sunday before I leave for days off. So the quote by John Maxwell is actually what I pulled from your slide, and it said, "A true leader's courage to fulfill his vision comes from passion, not merely from holding a position."
yes. All right, thank you. Yes.
I just like some of the things that you said, like the leadership is a passion, not a position. Just kind of reflecting on that in our organization. I've done some several ones, but
All right, thank you. Yeah, it's your responsibility to make it happen, but not necessarily your responsibility to do it. It's mine. All right, thank you.
It's similar to the thing of just taking something that is generally negative and twisting it into something positive. I really like that.
Okay, yeah, reimagining, redefining. Yep, thank you. Back table?
I think my takeaway would be collaboration, ethics, innovation, learning, reputation, and competitive strategies, because
Yeah, growth mindset.
Chamber of Commerce, reminder, we're a statewide membership organization, so it's hard to think about joining all the chambers of commerce around. But really thinking about growing our ability to have more outreach. We have, one or two partners in a lot of rural communities, but finding more of those that are the community hubs.
Yeah, and so with that, what I would probably also share with that is not that your organization doesn't have to join every chamber, but how many of your members belong to a chamber that can actually advocate for you? Yes.
I would say maybe utilizing my members' powers that I have.
All right, using your teammate superpowers. I love it. All right, I'm going to come up to you all. Yes.
I really like how you recommend and we ask how you like feedback, because you guys, it's not good feedback, it's very important. So I think that's a great, that's one of those like, duh.
Yeah. No, you're welcome.
Delegate more, do less, watch.
All right.
I think for us, it's the blueprint for collaborations, like, that one slide I'm gonna be aiming for, we have a collaboration that's difficult, and I'll just go to them and say, hey, how about we do this, 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 and this, make this run more smoothly, and see how it goes.
All right. Amanda.
One of the things I'm working on and thinking about is how to make sure we're not trying to bite off more than we really need to. And in our collaborations, and that means we're willing to be a part of, we need to be a part of different groups, and they just haven't been successful part of the group. We don't need that group. We're not them, we're not doing the same things, but we want to be able to use any given group to help the next piece of work. But we maybe just need to make sure we're defining and accountability. This is what we're accountable for.
Yeah.
Accountability.
Exactly. Understanding your role in the collaboration.
Accountability agreement and making sure that, because without that accountability, I think there's, that's, having somebody else hold you accountable, in this collaborative effort is powerful.
Yeah. And with that, if I can share one thing, so another reframe. I believe, and a couple of my other peers, we believe that accountability has been used as a weapon, right? Exactly, right? And so what I want to share with that is, because accountability is about you speaking to something, versus responsibility is about an outcome, right? So I can hold you responsible. I can't hold you accountable. Accountability is a self thing, right? And so trying to keep that in mind. And so all accountability agreements are asking is, what are you willing to speak to, right?
So, for example, for our team, our accountability agreement would be, this is what we are accountable to, and this is what we're reporting on. And if they're asking us for things that aren't in our rules, or
Yeah.
we're accountable, we can say, remind them that this is what it helps us to remind ourselves and to remind our partners what we can do and what we're willing to do. Don't be mad at us because we're not doing more.
Exactly, right? What can I speak to? I can speak to these things and I can be responsible for these things. I can't speak to the other things. All right, and Sandy. Okay, love it.
Appreciated how we took the VUCA and made it our own and how we made our definitions of this.
Nice. Pass. Gotcha. Gotcha.
I also liked the asking people how they like to get feedback.
All right. In the back. You're like, I'm just chilling. All right.
I liked just that activity of going around and naming everyone's
All right, thank you. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's right, the court. I came that right. All right, we got everyone. All right. Well, with that, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully you enjoyed this time together. I enjoyed it. And hopefully I'll see you on Friday when I do your keynote.